Welcome back to the deep dive, everybody. Today, we're going way back, like way, way back to an ancient text.
Oh, yeah. Really old stuff.
We're going to be checking out the final words and like the last moments of a guy named Tobit. Somebody sent this in, a listener sent this in,
Right.
and they're really interested in, sort of timeless wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, how did people back then think about dying? How did they deal with death?
Yeah, exactly. How do they look at the end of their life and their legacy and all of that?
Yeah. And so we have these excerpts here from the end of the book of Tobit.
Right. This is the conclusion of the book of Tobit,
Mm-hmm.
and it details his final instructions that he gives to his son Tobiah.
Okay.
And then it goes on to talk about his deaths and then even a little bit about Tobiah's life after that.
So it really is like the conclusion of his life and his final words.
Exactly.
So our goal today is to kind of unpack this. What are the key pieces of advice that he gives? What was going on? What was happening around him as he kind of prophesizes about the future? And what can we take away from this today? Like why does this matter?
Right. Why is this relevant? Why are we spending time talking about this today?
Yeah, yeah. And so one of the first things I noticed is that, the text says that Tobit dies in peace at the age of 112,
Wow.
and is buried with honor in Nineveh.
112. That's a long life.
And it sounds like kind of a good life too, like that he had a good death,
Yeah.
It sets the stage, I think, for the advice he's about to give.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that detail about the peaceful death and being buried with honor suggests that he was a man of significance to his community.
Yeah, yeah.
And that I think it lends credence to the advice that he's about to give.
Yeah, it makes it feel like it's coming from a place of meaning,
Right, right. And also, we have to remember, he lived for a while after he regained his sight,
hmm
and he experienced a period of renewed prosperity.
Yeah, yeah. He went through like this really hard time with blindness, like 58 years.
58 years, and then he was able to get his sight back.
Yeah, and he was able to like become financially well off.
Right.
And the text really highlights, the fact that he continues to give alms and to fear God.
Right.
It's not just like, oh, I got my sight back, now I'm just going to live it up.
Yeah.
He's still got his priorities straight.
Yeah, he's continuing to live righteously.
Yeah, so I think it just gives even more weight to what he has to say.
Exactly.
Now, things get a little interesting amidst all this peaceful stuff, like the death and, all of that.
Yeah.
He gives this urgent warning to his son, Tobiah.
Right. He commands him to leave Nineveh, to
Yeah.
leave and go to Media,
Yeah.
and take his family with him. And
Yeah.
this is really a key piece of advice that he gives.
Yeah, and the reasoning behind it is really fascinating to me because it has to do with his belief in prophecy.
Yes.
And specifically, he mentions Nahum, a prophet who spoke against Nineveh centuries earlier.
Right.
But he also kind of groups in other prophets as well, other Israelite prophets that spoke of the downfall of Nineveh and Assyria. And
Yeah.
and what I find so compelling is the certainty in his words.
Yeah, the conviction, it's not just a suggestion. He's giving a command based on his complete belief that these prophecies will happen.
Yeah, he says to Tobiah, I'm quoting here, he says, "Son, take your children and flee into Media. For I believe God's word that Nahum spoke against Nineveh. It will all happen and will overtake Assyria and Nineveh. Indeed, all that was said by Israel's prophets whom God sent will come to pass. Not one of all their words will remain unfulfilled, but everything will take place in the time appointed for it. So it will be safer in Media than in Assyria or Babylon. For I know and believe that whatever God has said will be accomplished. It will happen, and not a single word of the prophecies will fail."
Wow.
I mean,
That is quite a declaration, quite a powerful declaration of faith and really the power of prophecy.
right. And I'm trying to put myself in their shoes,
Yeah.
Like what would it be like to live with that certainty?
Yeah, to have that level of conviction about the future,
Yeah.
it's really fascinating to think about.
And it's not just about Nineveh. He kind of broadens the scope to the future of Israel, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He talks about the Israelites being scattered, being taken away from their homeland.
Oh, right.
He predicts that the land itself will become desolate.
Yeah.
He even mentions specifically Samaria and Jerusalem becoming barren.
Yeah.
And then perhaps the most dramatic prediction is that the house of God will be desolate. It will be burned.
Right, and this is a major thing, right? Like the house of God, the temple is super central to their their faith.
Exactly. It's at the heart of their identity.
Yeah, yeah. And he says, and I'm quoting again, "As for our kindred who dwell in the land of Israel, they will all be scattered and taken into captivity from the good land. All the land of Israel will become a wilderness. Even Samaria and Jerusalem will be a wilderness. For a time, the house of God will be desolate and will be burned." So it's a pretty stark picture that he's painting, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a very hopeful picture, but it's important to remember that this is not all that he says.
Yeah, yeah, this isn't the end.
This isn't the end of the story. He does talk about an eventual restoration.
Oh, okay. So there's hope.
There is hope, yes.
Okay, so after all this bad stuff, he's saying, like, good stuff is going to happen.
He's saying that God will show mercy
Okay.
and will bring the Israelites back to their land.
Okay.
And that they will rebuild the house of God.
Right, right. But there's a catch, isn't there?
There's a catch, yes.
Because he says that it won't be like the first temple until a future time. Like he says, until the appointed times are completed.
Right, right. He's basically saying that there is going to be a rebuilding.
Yeah.
But it's not the final restoration.
Yeah, yeah. So this isn't like the ultimate, everything's perfect again. This is just like step one of a longer process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like God's plan is much bigger than just this rebuilding.
Yeah, yeah. And I like that he acknowledges that.
Yeah.
You know? That it's not just like, oh, everything's fixed, we're done.
Right. It's going to take time.
Yeah.
And there's more to come.
Yeah, and speaking of more to come, his vision expands even further, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Because he starts talking about all nations turning to God.
Right. All the nations of the world.
Well, just not just Israel anymore.
Right, right. He's really broadening the scope here. He's saying that everyone will turn and worship the true God.
Yeah.
And they'll cast aside their idols.
Okay, so he's painting this picture of like a future where everybody is recognizing God.
Exactly. The whole world recognizing and worshiping the one true God.
Yeah, yeah. And he says, all the nations of the world will turn and reverence God in truth. All will cast away their idols, which have deceitfully led them into error. They will bless the God of the ages in righteousness. It's such a powerful image, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, what would that look like?
Yeah. What would that kind of transformation look like?
Yeah. How would the world be different if that happened?
Yeah. And he goes on to talk about the faithful Israelites being gathered together in Jerusalem.
Right. And they're going to be dwelling in the land promised to Abraham.
Yeah.
Living there securely.
Yeah. And he makes this real clear distinction, doesn't he?
Yes.
Between the righteous who will experience joy.
Right.
And the wicked.
Who will disappear.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not just like everybody goes to this happy place.
Right, right. There's a separation.
There's consequences.
Yeah. It's about justice.
Yeah.
Divine justice.
Yeah. And he actually says, and I'm quoting again, all the Israelites truly mindful of God who are to be saved in those days will be gathered together and will come to Jerusalem. In security will they dwell forever in the land of Abraham, which will be given to them. Those who love God sincerely will rejoice, but those who commit sin and wickedness will disappear completely from the land.
Wow.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah, yeah. Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
But along with these prophecies about the future,
Yeah.
he also gives some really practical advice to his children.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's not all just like, oh, this is going to happen in the future.
Right, right.
Yeah.
There's also this focus on how to live in the present.
Right.
In the here and now.
Yeah. And he basically commands them. He says, serve God sincerely and do what is pleasing in his sight.
Right.
And then he also says, you must instruct your children to do what is right and to give alms, to be mindful of God, and at all times to bless his name sincerely and with all their strength.
Yeah. So there's this real focus on individual faith.
Yeah.
But also the responsibility to pass those values on.
Yeah, to like teach your kids.
Exactly. It's not just about you.
Yeah, it's about creating a legacy of faith.
Right, and good works.
Yeah, yeah.
And he also emphasizes the importance of leaving Nineveh.
Right, right. He goes back to that.
He does. He reiterates that that after he and his wife are buried, that Tobiah should not even stay one night within the city walls.
Right.
Because he sees the city as full of wickedness and treachery. Like he's really concerned about what's going on there.
And he doesn't mince words, does he?
No. He says, now as for you, son, leave Nineveh. Do not stay here. The day you bury your mother next to me, Do not even stay overnight within the confines of the city, for I see that there is much wickedness in it, and much treachery is practiced in it, and people are not ashamed.
Wow. So he's really like, you got to get out of here.
Yes, he's very serious about this.
Yeah.
And then he shares this interesting story about Nadin and Iyakar
Oh, yeah.
as a way to really kind of highlight
To kind of like drive home this point.
exactly
Yeah.
um, about the consequences of evil and the importance of living righteously.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us this story. What happened with these guys?
So Nadin betrayed Iyakar, the very man who had raised him.
Oh, wow. That's harsh.
Yeah, and Tobit points out how Nadin's actions ultimately backfired on him.
Okay.
While Ahikar, who was known for giving alms, for helping the poor,
Okay.
was saved.
So it's like a real life example of what he's talking about.
Exactly. It's like, look, this actually happened.
Right. Right. This isn't just like a theoretical idea.
Right.
He's like, this happened in our history.
Exactly. It's a powerful example of how wickedness can lead to destruction.
Yeah.
And how righteousness
To lead to life.
can lead to being saved.
Right. Right.
And he quotes, see, my son, all that Nadin did to Ahikar, the very one who reared him, was not Ahikar brought down alive into the earth. Yet God made Nadin's disgraceful crime rebound against him. Ahikar came out again into the light, but Nadin went into the everlasting darkness, for he had tried to kill Ahikar.
Yeah.
Because Ahikar had given alms, he escaped from the deadly trap Nadin had set for him. But Nadin fell into the deadly trap himself, and it destroyed him.
So he's really, really showing the contrast between these two people
Right.
and their actions.
Exactly. And then he brings it all together with this really powerful statement
Yeah.
about the consequences of generosity and wickedness.
Yeah. Yeah. This is his last lesson, isn't it?
Yeah. His final message to his children.
Yeah.
What does he say?
He says, so my children, see what almsgiving does and also what wickedness does. It kills. But now my spirit is about to leave me.
I mean, it's a pretty powerful way to end his counsel.
It is. It really sticks with you. It really makes you think about the choices that we make.
Right. And the consequences of those choices.
Right?
Yeah. And then we shift gears a little bit. The story shifts and we start focusing on Tobiah.
Right.
You know, what does he do after his father dies?
Well, he does what his father told him to do.
Okay.
He buries his parents, and then he moves to Media with his family.
Yeah.
He takes that warning very seriously.
Yeah. So he doesn't mess around. He's like, all right, Dad, I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then we get a little snapshot of his life in media.
Right. We learn that he takes care of his wife's parents.
Okay.
He eventually inherits their estate.
And he lives to be 117 years old.
Oh, wow. So he also has a long life.
Yes.
Okay, so it seems like he found that safety and prosperity
Yeah.
that his dad had talked about.
It seems that way. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the kicker, right?
Yeah.
He actually lives to see the destruction of Nineveh.
He does. He sees his father's prophecy fulfilled.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but-
So it wasn't just like a crazy old man talking.
Exactly.
Like this really happened.
Yeah.
And he's there to see it.
He's there to witness it.
Yeah, that's wild.
And it's interesting that the text specifically mentions that he praises God for this outcome.
Oh, wow. So he's not like, oh, that's terrible, my hometown.
No, he rejoices.
He's like, yes, this is what was supposed to happen.
Yeah. He says, but before he died, he saw and heard of the destruction of Nineveh. He saw the inhabitants of the city being led captive into Media by Cyaxares, the king of Media. Tobiah blessed God for all that he had done against the Ninevites and Assyrians. Before dying, he rejoiced over Nineveh, and he blessed the Lord God forever and ever.
It really brings everything full circle, doesn't it?
It does.
Like the prophecy, the warning, like it all comes to pass.
It's really a powerful ending to the story.
So what are your big takeaways here? What sticks out to you the most?
Well, I think it's amazing how strong Tobit's faith was.
Yeah.
Like, he truly believed in these prophecies,
Yeah.
even though he wouldn't live to see them fulfilled himself.
Right. He was willing to uproot his family.
Exactly. To send them away.
Yeah. Based on what he believed.
On his conviction.
Yeah. And for you listening, what are you taking away from this?
What resonates with you? Is it the faith? Is it the importance of righteousness? Or maybe it's the contrast between generosity and wickedness?
Yeah. Yeah. What about his warnings about like societal decay and the hope for restoration.
Right. Those are all really important themes in this story, and they're still relevant today.
Yeah. And it makes you think, doesn't it? Like, what does it mean to live with that kind of conviction?
Right. What does it mean to believe in something so strongly that you're willing to act on it, even if you don't know for sure what the outcome will be?
Yeah.
I mean, Tobit's decision to send his family away was based on faith,
Yeah.
not on what he could see happening right in front of him.
Yeah.
So how do we balance our present realities with our beliefs about the future?
That's a great question. That's a really great question. Something to ponder.
It is. It's something we can all think about.
If you want to keep exploring this, by the way,
Right.
you can look into the historical context of those prophecies,
Yeah.
like the one from Nahum that we talked about.
Right.
You can also look at the history of Nineveh and the kingdom of Israel and see how all of this actually played out.
Exactly. And see how it aligns with what Tobit predicted.
Yeah. As always, our deep dive just scratches the surface.
Yeah, there's so much more to explore.
But hopefully it sparks some good thoughts, some good questions.
Exactly.
And yeah, thanks for joining us as we delved into the final moments of Tobit.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. See you next time.